A lot of people ask me why I went to Africa to photograph these horrific things and, to photograph suffering or to photograph the war in Sudan and South Sudan. But it's actually not what happened. I went there with an interest in the culture of Sudan. I went there because I loved working with the people. They were just as interested in me as I was in them. The reason why my photography kind of was pulled towards conflict is because the people I were photographing descended into conflict. Their lives descended into conflict. Someone says, oh, there's a family here, their house was bombed. Would you like to go? We decided to stop and walked up this hill, and it's a small town, one-story mud huts, stone walls, thatched roofs. Around the house had been burnt from the blast, and literally ducked in through a piece of fabric that was hanging over the doorway. And he was sitting on this stool, and that's where the image happened. People often lead you places, and I think keeping that open mind is how I came across this image of the boy, of Adam. His mother is the one sitting in the background in the image. He had this white scarf, so there were flies everywhere, and burns get infected really easily. So she kept coming over and adjusting his scarf or shooing flies off of him. But that's also where the gesture comes from in the image, because he has his hand raised and he kept picking at his skin or shooing off the flies. The image really explains a lot about the conflict, I think. First, it's a child who had nothing to do with the war. His house was bombed. His house is in the mountains in a rural town. There aren't any resources there. There's no reason that this bombing needs to take place. And also one of the striking things has been the reaction to, well, did he get treatment? Is he receiving medical care? Are there organizations there? Is the UN there? Who's documenting this? Who's helping this family, and particularly this boy? And the answer is that no one is. There are no organizations there. There is no medical care. There's no running water. There's no electricity. The UN is denied access. So that really explains this area. The government will not help him, and the government will not allow international organizations to help him. These people have been in my mind every day since I left. And there's a couple different parts of it. Part of it that I've learned since I've been there is that I'm only a photographer. But the other part of it is that these are people and families. And there's been an offensive the last couple of months that has just crushed these areas that I've been to and I've spent time in. That's heartbreaking. To know people you've met whose lives have been destroyed. People who were doing all right a year ago when I was there may not exist anymore. But then again, that's also why I do this work, and I think this work is important, is that in the very least, I can say, this family existed, this was their home, they were proud of that place. And hopefully we can learn from that.